Republic. I don't know why I'm shilling for them. They can do their own
Yeah, they can
advertising.
do their own advertising. YouTube is being so strange, or Restream's being so strange with, I don't want that window, with, okay, they both appear to be live. I don't fucking know, dude. Um, uh, but it
Um,
just doesn't, it just is like an error occurred. So I don't know. I guess I can check on my phone real quick. Um,
Looks like we are live on Twitch.
Live on Twitch, but then not on YouTube.
Let me check YouTube.
Okay. I'll also try to see if I can
I guess apologies to the people who are hearing all this on Twitch.
Apologies to the people who are waiting on Twitch for this to get things
Uh,
working.
yeah, I think we're on YouTube too.
Okay. Well, sick. Um, uh, welcome. All it looks like one person watching right now. Um, this is
Is that Kate who's like,
it's Kate. It's Kate
yeah,
watching herself. Um, everyone in this call get onto to Twitch and
please those numbers.
we got to boost those
Bust
numbers
those
up.
numbers.
Um, what was I saying? Welcome to I don't know what to how to introduce this. A little terrible story. About things going very wrong. My name is Jesse William. I am a professional GM. This is a game that is filling in space in the lore. There's been a missing space. No one knows what happened. Now we're figuring out what happened. You'll figure out about that later. If you're on the third episode and haven't seen the other two yet. We'll go around quickly the table to say hi to our players and who they're playing today. Starting in our top corner today, that's Kate.
Oh,
What
hi.
normal, well-adjusted person are you bringing in today?
She was perfectly normal and well adjusted before we started this. Um, so hi, I'm Kate. I've been playing TTRPGs for a while and with Jesse for like 3 years. I'm playing Ven Airbauer. This is her. She is uh, an elf with some elemental nature and current or seasonal nature rather, and she's currently and has been stuck in winter for a very long time. She is an agent with the MEF and is a field or combat agent. And this was supposed to be a nice little return after a 10-year mental health hiatus. Um, and it quickly turned into her getting to re-experience all of the horrors of her life at once all over again, which kind of undoes a lot of therapy. So she's fine and totally operating at 100%.
So John had an experience in one of these streamed campaigns where the story kind of became about his character because his character had history and unresolved things, and the other characters were newer. And John made a move earlier in the week to be like, how do we support Ven as a character? Because Kate has played Ven in 3 different campaigns now. Technically, one of them was the start of this
She
two or
was
three
built
years
to be
ago.
a failed final girl and was only ever supposed to appear here.
Mm-hmm.
And she hasn't. She has a whole backstory now.
Whoops. Hey, that's called a living world, baby. Uh,
And for this, I went and I made her a mom. So she also has a family at home that she's probably never going to see again.
so Kate might cry today. But moving on, John, who are you and who are you bringing?
Hey, I'm John. Yeah, I'm here to start a holy war. Oh no, sorry, that's wrong. That's
That's a different one. That's the
Wrong
other one.
old stream.
campaign.
Old stream.
Technically, that's in the
Uh,
past, but did
yeah.
affect Ven also.
No, I am. Yes, I've also been playing for a while. If you want to learn about me, go back and watch Holy War. I talked about myself a bunch in those episodes. But today I'm playing Grix Heldemir. Uh, he is a Bavari, which is homebrew to the world, kind of like a tiefling if they were from a demon or a
don't
hellite.
know if we can call it homebrew anymore because it's now in a new, different
That's
system.
true. A new
It's
system,
so
sorry. It's its own thing.
it's its own thing.
It's its own.
It's a
Yes, it's
Jesse
like
T. William original.
Yeah, yeah.
a demon person.
Mhm.
Also a member of the MEF. Also has a little family at home, so we'll see how that goes for him. And yeah, I've never played him before, so we'll see who he is on the fly here.
Uh, hell yeah. And last but not least is Faith.
Hello. Um, this is my first time doing a stream, so I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear anything. There's no stream going on. I'm not gonna even talk to you people. Um, Today I'm gonna be playing Jay Noble, who is the most generic looking elven humanish kind of figure, mid to late 60s, looks very looks exactly like the kind of person you'd trust and want to get along with. She is an android, was commissioned about 5 years ago, um, within the MEF, um, was has no family because is an android, but generally likes to be, very therapeutic towards others. That is part of her reason for existing. However, she also is an android and was not allowed to do that for various reasons. Um, uh, so now she carries a big gun and helps with like negotiations and stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
But likes to still think of herself as like, I can be help. Failed service dog. That's what I said, I think, to each of you.
Mm. So what's happening? Where do we find these characters? This is the 21st mission of the Astral Galleon Gallant Entropy. Say that 5 times fast. You know how to say it. The 20th mission, the Astral Galleon was more or less destroyed. And the Galleon has a history with the number 21. It's the bad luck number. It shows up in all of the irrecoverable death logs and the trauma infliction logs, or one or the other, sometimes both. It's a bad luck number. But after being rebuilt, the Misathian Extraplanar Force sent it on a, well, not even routine, just a laid back exploration and help the cosmos mission. And the first stop there was helping with some investigation at the Pillars of Order, the divine domain of the God of Order. This hundreds and hundreds of massive skyscraper-sized 9-sided pillars suspended in shining, beautiful light, maintained by each one a pair of Obsesian beings, these divine creatures of order. And so we were investigating a little problem with a pillar, and then things started to get weird. The experience that everyone has had that isn't Ben, so Jay and Grix, only 2 squads were sent to investigate the pillar. I think probably other squads were sent out to like check surrounding pillars and do just like routine interaction. But this particular pillar that had the problem, 2 squads. On the first day, the first squad just did an investigation of like who was involved. There was some an archdemon, an archdevil, a very powerful wizard, relatively speaking, not to the MEF, and then 5 people who were involved in some strange, like personal magical mistake. The second day, the 2 squads entered this pillar and discovered some kind of entity that disenchanted magic, changed the nature of people through this disenchanting, and was slowly spreading in the center of the pillar. One of the Obsesian caretakers, the order keeper of the pillar, one of the order keepers, was infected by this creature the two different groups had different interactions with this infection, and not everyone made it out. It's unclear at this time if those are even deaths, irrecoverable deaths. Something's going on, and it's escalating. This infection has made it onto the ship through one of the people who returned, who had thought to cut her arm off when she was touched, but it had spread too far. But with some failures, we've also learned some things. The working theory is that this infection spreads in a pattern, and everything we've done to try to stop the spread so far has failed because we've not been following the pattern. The attempts to reverse the pattern on the ship have failed, but there is a source entity. So applying this magical, like, reverse disenchanting effect at the source of the entity is right now the best working theory as to fixing this problem. Hopefully, if it stops there, it stops everywhere else.
Part of the pattern was also discovered because of Ven's brain.
It is also discovered
On
because
a
of
literal
Ven's brain.
sense.
Ven's brain got fucked up by the pattern. No more funny business. Two groups, which means 50 people each, are being deployed to this pillar, with the assistance of Ven, who's one of, I think, the only currently living person
Yep.
who has experience.
Yeah,
in
that's
that
not
pillar.
a sense of trauma for her at all. She totally doesn't have survivor's guilt from Actios, which is 10,000 people went and 200 people survived, and Ven was one of them. That's rough. That's very rough, Jesse. I know that's not entirely accurate.
Yeah, I think part of the inaccuracy is my fault of having the numbers wrong, but still, way too many people died in Actios to be comfortable with. 50 people plus Ven will be going in.
Who's in charge? Did you say yet?
Huh? What?
I said, who's in charge? Did you say that yet?
That's a slightly more complicated question. In it, like, as far as like the like, are we thinking about ship captain? Are we thinking about commanding officer person?
I was thinking of this group because I immediately thought it was Ven, and I realized she's not a commander anymore.
Oh, yeah. So I'll get on that. We'll because we have a small cast of characters, we won't assign necessary leadership to any particular one. But yeah. So two groups are being deployed. We'll presume that Grix and Jay are a part of the same group in the same squad. Also, groups 1 and 2, which there's 100 groups of 50? No, way more than that. 200 groups of 50. That works out to 10,000 people, right? Yes. I'm pretty sure. 200 groups of 50. I think the first group that went was group 21, but I think it was also like a lottery thing. But anyways, the bad luck number is being dispelled. No more funny business. Groups 1 and 2, which, if you turn around, is also 21.
Why don't we send 6 and 7 here or something?
17 and 34.
Let's find some prime numbers and let's do those.
Yes.
But group 1 and 2. And we'll pick up. So as Grix and Jay are getting outfitted, what we understand is that there's very little a way for us to even meaningfully interact with this infection. It's just like largely what we're doing is avoidance. So as we pick up with these two characters, both you can tell me what they look like as well as what they are feeling with this mission beginning to go awry. I'll also say, like, to help with the frame. The way that this information spread was first through the the like haunting logs that were coming from the pillar from the two different groups, where the ship was suddenly like, what's going on? And then now you're being like somewhat suddenly deployed on this very serious thing. So what are the feelings? What do they look like? What are they doing? Etc.
We go. Oh, gotcha. Uh, Grix is, I would imagine, not very tall. Maybe, mid 5 feet tall. Fairly lithe. More of like a dexterous slip sort of character. Um, Outfitted, I assume, in the undersuit, so standard MEF undersuit. I think I'd be less armed with like firearms, more armed with like combat sort of, or like closer combat uh things. I have red or brownish burgundy skin. They're piercing yellow eyes, ridges along my head, and I think some like bumps on the face as well. Uh, and a fairly generally like a very kind eyes, I would say, even though they're piercing and yellow in that harsh juxtaposition to the skin, but I would say kind in demeanor and eyes. Yeah, I think that's. And then well, I'll let Faith describe, and then maybe
I
we
think
can go into
Faith
Cena.
also did already describe
Oh,
in a fair amount of detail. So we'll get into the feelings to not make Faith repeat herself.
Okay, I'll do feelings then. Um, I think so. They're just getting kitted out basically. Like this is
Yeah, like
the
at the rec station, like putting on your kit, and like in the next 5 to 10 minutes, getting on a drop ship and flying out the ship onto the pillar.
yeah. I think because in the grand scheme of things, Jay is 5 years old. There's both a knowledge of this is serious and everyone's worried, but that's almost more like a theoretical, this could go badly. Let's just focus on getting the job done, um, and making sure everyone stays calm, gets through it, follows orders basically.
Ven's gonna be really good at following orders today.
for Grix, this is my first mission in a while too. Like I did not go to Actios, the uh, mission that Kate was referring to earlier, because it was too dangerous and it was a voluntary mission. This is the first one I've been on in like 10 years. I'm trying to keep that calm observational demeanor that I've learned, through my time with the MEF and some of my mentors, but probably struggling to do so at this moment. Maybe even like hands visibly shaking as I'm grabbing whatever this gear is, uh, and just on edge because this was supposed to be routine, was supposed to be simple, and now very much does not seem that way.
Um, wonderful. Do you? Is there? So this is like, I guess, second, maybe third day. Um, the time feels probably very weird because when we are oriented in the cosmos, the sun is static, which means that it always shines in the same way on the pillars of order. Which even though like there's probably an interior day-night cycle to the astral galleon, there is a like still a sense of being disoriented. So it could be like into the like technically it might be like midnight on the third day, but it's like bright is hell or
It's like
second
being
day.
in the Arctic Circle and
Yeah.
the sun never goes down. Yeah.
hmm what as like Grix and Jay, and there's other people around, you know, like as we see 100 or so people in the rec station, like attaching their armor to their like black undersuits, and like putting on items that they think will help them. And like Grex and Jay are there getting their stuff together. What might be a conversation that they're having?
Um, if she sees that he's getting a little bit wired, uh, once she's fully kitted out, probably like knock her arm against his. Hey, you good?
Yes, it's just wasn't expecting this so soon. We've only been on the ship for what, 2 days? And we're already getting called into the field.
I know it's a quick turnaround, but things can change for the better just as quickly, I guess. Your hands are shaking. Does that happen a lot?
Uh, it didn't before, but uh,
Yeah.
it's been about 10. How long, Jesse? 10 years
I
since
think
Actios?
Actios was 7712, and this is 7721. It's also a bad year. So this is 9 years after
Okay.
Actios.
And then yeah, probably there was a mission. So the last mission I was on was maybe a year before. So at the well, it's been about 10 years since I was on the mission, and uh, I didn't have children then.
Oh, you've got kids?
I do. 3.
That's lovely. That's really nice.
Do you?
No, wasn't in the cards for me. But I think they'll probably be really excited when you come back and tell them all the great stories from this. Yeah.
I hope so. Do you have, has anyone told you anything? I just,
Nothing. But I mean, maybe it's a no news is good news, you know?
are you always so calm?
No, no one is. There's always got to be moments. But it's helpful to have someone to talk to.
Sorry, I didn't ask your name.
Oh, sorry. Jake. Jay Noble.
Oh.
To be honest, if I seem calm, it might be lack of experience. Might be leaning on you a little bit, but hey, we got this.
Well, it has been a while, but hopefully it's like riding a bike. I'm Grix.
Wonderful. It's a great name.
Thank you. I didn't choose it, but I appreciate it.
That's so funny. That's my line to everybody because I'm like, I didn't name me, but I'll tell my mother.
It is so. Just for my knowledge, would it be clear that you are an android, or like would I just don't know how that
I
would.
think there's an uncanny valley thing. I think it's like current AI where you're like there's something that like the attention is not for it to be read as android. But if you
Right.
look closely enough, you're like, okay, so that's probably not, which I believe at this current time in the MEF is logical. Like like
Yeah.
there are androids, but she's not advertising it. That's not
Right.
the first thing she's saying, that she's not
So
hiding it either.
I feel like in that maybe frantic state, I didn't quite recognize it until maybe this moment at the end here. And then there's just like a
Yeah.
recognition that comes over
I
him
don't know if
as
this helps or hurts. I watched Alien for the first time last night, and I was like, perfect. I'm an android.
You watched Alien for the first time last night?
Yeah. I was trying to get to aliens in preparation because I don't know a lot of military horror. I know other horror,
Oh,
but
okay.
I only got to Alien.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Um, uh, and I immediately gotta stop thinking about Alien, and immediately I need to stop thinking about that. Uh, would Ven want to be the one carrying the device that they made to reverse the pattern on this entity?
Ben's always been a little bit of a control freak one way or another. I think it just comes with it's her personality, but it also comes just with being kind of an engineer. And it's the reason probably why she also ended up in a leadership position to begin with. So I think she would want to hold on to it.
Um, it's a device about the size of a watermelon. Uh, is that a funny metric for size? Could have said
Yeah, that sounds really horrific, you know? How would you say like the size of a human head?
it's well, a human head's I suppose smaller than a watermelon, isn't it?
Maybe your head.
Depends on the watermelon and the head.
uh, it's about this big, okay? Is that scary? Ooh, it's heavy. But as the whole team of on-ship engineers have rushed to make this. It has 3 layers of protection, where basically, if any of it disenchants, it will jettison the layer to protect the total device. This person will be explaining these things to you of like it repeats and tries to reverse the pattern by like using this magical blah 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 blah. I think Ven's looking at it and observing these things herself is like before they close it up and close these jettison layers, you're looking and being like, okay, this does this. If something goes wrong, I could fix it here.
Mhm.
And are
That's
not
what she's
even,
thinking.
yeah, hearing the words of this person. I think that's also kind of like as this session is running. I think I'm almost beginning to see like the big structure is peeling away. Not in the sense that it's like failing, but rather like what feels more important is just the people and their feelings. So describe for me as Ven is like given this device that will save the ship. And as you walk out of the engineering bay down into like through the requisition station and into the deployment bay, what is Ven feeling and what do people observe in her?
I do think while Ven's holding it is probably the first time she realizes that Ven has a little construct she built that's pretty much always with her named Pumpkin, that's a metal crab, and I think this is the first time she realized like, oh, he's gone. Because he got left behind a couple games ago. Um, she's like, okay, that's fine. It's not fine, but we're making it fine. Uh, I think she's almost glad for a project to actively be focusing on and for her brain to latch onto that isn't necessarily a memory or temporal. Um, she's always been techie. And so unless we go back to her when she's like a baby, she's always been messing around with tech. And so this is something that has been constant and is comfortable. And I think she is holding on to that like it is a child. Um, I think she is she always wished she was better with people, like one of her mentors, Rue. But I do think she is still aware enough to notice like the people that know are giving her weird looks, or she feels like she's getting weird looks. And so she's just kind of focusing on one foot in front of the other. Try to just get into the zone where she's not even remembering anything. She's just focusing on fixing something. Because otherwise she is going to lose it. Especially since I think she would probably be checking in a very doom scrolly way about how bad the ship is
Yeah, right now
and what's
there's
been hit. No?
yeah, like nothing's really progressed in a way that's
Got it.
registering. Um, there's a little bit of issue where Arthur is, but it's like very minor. Well, I guess also no, they would have shut down they would have anti-magicked that place. Um, so
It's still
there's
like a doom scrolly check thing that she
yeah,
keeps
yeah.
doing. Um, but project, mission, job, she is clinging on to that for dear life. Otherwise, she keeps wanting to just spiral and go down whatever rabbit hole her memory is currently in.
I'm going to ask you a question that is going to define how this session is run.
So no pressure.
No pressure. Does Ven believe that this thing will work, and is she willing to stake her life on it? Because I'll say
That,
logically,
yeah.
there's not a reason that this shouldn't work. Logically, there's not a reason that this shouldn't work.
Logically, there's not a reason that this shouldn't work, but
Mm-hmm.
also Ven's remembering when the MEF counted and like she was in one of the most cutthroat missions and just remembers that very, very keenly. I think this is more a matter of this has to work. I do think she is concerned or skeptical. I think the more optimistic the people are around her and the more of that attitude of we're the MEF, it's fine, we're the MEF, the more she is getting irritated. And I think she's already snapped once at somebody who said that. Um, but she also recognizes this if this has to work. If I want to go home, this has to work. If others want to go home, this has to work. She's already kind of resigned to I'm probably going to die and maybe they can bring me back, but I can't count on it. Um, but this has to work. So I don't know if belief or trust is there. It's more of desperation.
Yeah. Will follow through with her life.
Mhm.
Faith, you have a question?
In context, would any of us or Ben or whoever believe that there would be a second chance? Like, is this the only time this could happen?
Uh, I think all of you, the framing of for everyone else is there's a problem at the center of the Pillar of Order that's causing this like thing to happen. Here's the solution. We just need to get it there.
Okay.
It's like that simple. So it's there's not like
And
and
if it didn't work, we could come back and try again.
yeah. Presuming if something went wrong, they're probably building a backup. You know, it's like um they'll might have to get creative, but like there's no reason to think that suddenly this is a problem that can't literally everything in the universe, in the cosmos, has been solved by magic. There's no reason to believe that this wouldn't be solved by magic.
Ven's an outlier in her skepticism and extreme paranoia that this can't be solved by magic and no one's taking this seriously.
The reason I ask you that question is because you inspired me a little bit, Faith, in saying you're holding on to this like a baby. How many children? Do you just have one?
No, she has twins.
Twins. Okay. Um,
One that takes after her and one that takes after their father. So one is a Helith and one's an elf.
the first time that you held your twins, that same amount of preciousness and importance. The first time Pumpkin was coming together, this construct that has been your companion through so many things. These moments blur together. As you walk, they are the same. You approach the dropship, and John and Faith, but Yale and Rue were both in Gageno, right? I want to get fucky. I'm going to say returning, if you remember this, returning from Eugeni, from the Shard King's vault. So boarding the dropship and returning to the Gallant Entropy 20 years ago. I want to pick up with a scene between these three characters from that time. Kind of like the first bit of like
We were okay. Quick
yeah.
catch up. That went successfully. But Rue also had some memory things with his mother and like with the.
Well, Ven also got something back from that too.
Yeah. So like
got the memories back.
An emotionally impactful experience, but ultimately like a successful one, and another win for the MEF.
Yeah.
Or you know, like
also very funny because Yell was barely friends with them yet. She was still incredibly prickly and like
Ven was barely friend. Yeah, Yell was barely friends. Ven was newly married. Ven, Yell had gone to her wedding as a guest, but we didn't really know each other.
And pissed each other off.
And Rue was kind of a mentor.
The time.
Especially for Ven at the time. Yeah, this was a much happier, much more doable time back then.
But yeah, so as Ven boards the ship with Pumpkin, Rue, I guess Yale already sitting down, and Rue just kind of like checking in on everyone in the ship, before also sitting down himself. All of you within like 5 feet. There are other characters around, but in this moment, kind of the three of you have a brief conversation. What do you think that looks like?
What everything needed? Did you get everything you needed?
I think so. I think we found everything and we're able to get it back, Rue.
Feels like it. I don't think we'll know until we get it. back to the ship, but feels whole.
And we still are at no irrecoverables.
Extremely successful.
Okay, forgive me for saying this. That seemed incredibly personal. Whatever just happened. That wasn't the routine mission. I don't claim to know everything.
It was incredibly personal. Yeah, for you at least. Rue.
Yes, I tend to not air too much of my personal business. It complicates things, but that entity, that Shard King, as they were referring to themselves, they took something incredibly important from me and a lot of other people.
We'll change scenery here, or rather change context. The first time that you returned to the Gallant Entropy after being deployed on the ground in Actios. So this would have been like, I think, just after Rain's death. So losing something personal. All of you, Ven's not lost anyone from her squad at this point.
No,
But
not yet.
there have been irrecoverables, and now the three of you are sitting with the feeling of like, fuck, it's the weight is here, the difficulty is here.
Because this would also be when Ben was dealing with the Skies protocol with Oliver, who was Rain's brother.
This would be
Because
just before it
yeah,
was implemented, but knowing that that's the next thing that needs to happen.
yeah.
I think the
Um,
Ven might have been dealing with some insubordination at this point.
mm.
You mean being insubordinate?
But I think maybe even follow you using that thread, um, uh, as the kind of conversation turns to like this is not very routine, and Rue, talking about how personal it is. This time mentioning how personal it is between like Rain and Oliver.
No matter what happens in the scene, Yell is constantly running through um, little routines rhythmically, sometimes getting up to complete them, sometimes getting up, but they're always rhythmic in groups of three.
Mm.
The It is not an easy conversation when somebody's all over the place, but
We lost the Korax boy.
Which means I have as good as lost mine.
We did everything we could, just wasn't enough.
in this place, a win is the same thing as a loss, and a loss is the same thing as a win. That could have gone differently by a hair in either way, and he died. And I don't know if that was a better outcome or the worse.
We knew it. And I get the new protocol, but forgetting thing goes against everything Miss Athaya was even built for. No one's going to remember Rain's final log. That's going to be go nowhere.
I'll remember it.
It wasn't I need to remember it for his brother, since his brother won't remember it.
Can't either of you do anything about this? Don't you have pull? Can't you?
I tried.
What's the purpose of actually having any title if you can't tell them to stop the lobotomies? This makes no sense.
I've voiced everything I could to leadership. If we can't remember, then we can't learn. But this is the
We're
path
not here to
they have
learn. We're here to
chosen.
fight. I'm starting to understand the math now.
I've spoken to Amara, and there is no negotiation on this matter.
Anybody chooses to forget me, I will come back and haunt you.
We'll use that as a jumping off point. Back to the present. Now I'll frame this for Kate, because I'm doing something funky with this session now. Ven has not experienced those two things, like before this moment. A secret third thing is happening, but Ven has had consistent perspective from the point of the leaving the mind spell interaction, however many hours ago to this point. I think Ven is regardless like feeling the tension, and as you were sitting on the ship in whatever seat that like is this a similar position to where you were 10 and 20 years ago. Now it is Grix and Jay sitting around you. I think the two of you see Ven just like fucking 1,000-yard stare, just like lost in thought, thinking about like the math and the responsibility and like having to trust in the process. What does Grix or Jay say to like break Ven kind of out of just like staring off in the distance?
How obvious is this
It's
watermelon?
huge and it's on her lap.
Hey, is that? Sorry. We're a million miles away. I just wanted to ask, is that the payload?
Yeah, it is. This needs to get into the center and deployed.
You must be pretty good at your job if you're the one who's carrying it.
I am very good at what I do, but I also think maybe I'm just very unlucky.
It's Lieutenant Earbauer, right?
Not Lieutenant, Agent. Yes.
My apologies. We served together in Kajeno.
Oh,
I was in Commander Rumenlor's group.
no. That was a good mission. Frustrating as hell, but ultimately good. Um, yeah, I wish Rue was here.
Why?
My son is screaming out my door. I don't know if that's picking up on the microphone.
It's
I
not.
hear your thing.
Okay.
No. But I wish Rue was here. It's good to see another veteran. I do think there is something when you like try to view Ven's tag, there is some kind of marker that indicates like an Actios veteran somewhere on like her easy to see log. Um, but I'm mostly here as a consultant and help for the payload.
And it's going to work, right? You seem
It has to work.
With
Sorry, I was in.
that, can I have a group luck check? So each of you roll 1d6, and then I'll have an individual luck check from each of you.
6.
5.
Also 6.
Bad luck. 3, 4, 4. It has to work. And can I also now get individual luck checks, starting with Ven here?
2, 4, 4.
Okay. Mixed luck. I'm going to keep that in mind. 1, 2, 5. Grix.
1, 2, 3.
Mixed luck. 3, 4, 5. And then Jay.
1, 2, 5.
Mixed luck. 1, 3, 4. Each of you getting mixed luck. Do you want a piece of information or safety?
What's the safety?
As in like if so, I'm going to skip to an experience in the pillar. And you will begin to see part of the game that I'm doing. I'm going to skip to experience in the pillar, and in that experience, you are you can either gain information or you can be safe.
Oh, information. Jesus.
Okay.
I was like, I'm surprised you're even asking, frankly, Faith.
What is safety gonna do for me?
Jesse just gave us a button and you weren't about to push it immediately.
That's so true.
What are we doing here?
Okay. Can all of you roll the same? So let's do this. One more luck check from everyone, but this time you'll all be referencing the same pool of mine. Call them out when you have them.
2, 6, 6.
Sorry, Faith and then Kate.
2, 6, 6.
1, 2, 4.
1, 3, 5.
So someone's about to die.
2, 6, 6, 1, 3, 5. 2, 6, 6, 1, 3, 5. That's the exact same numbers I just rolled. Okay. We're in the pillar. The walls are covered in obsidian writing, just like really dense, almost looks like a maze, really small carved maze. These divine stone walls. The pillar is not infinitely layered, but it feels infinitely layered. And we see that where usually these walls are glowing, there are little elements of it that are slowly disenchanting, and it's spreading. There is an observation to make that I think Ven probably makes. The infection, the corruption, if it spread through air, if it spread through empty cosmos, which is technically a substance as much as air is, this would progress a lot further. Which means that this does have a limit. There is isolation, right? There's a way to isolate this if it really does spread.
So far, not, it's been physical touch, not through air, and also not through sound. Like it hasn't gotten to anyone through a transmission.
Yeah, has not gone to anyone through a transmission.
Okay.
No one ever played Pandemic. Sorry.
Oh, you have no idea, Faith. I was so upset during this first game. Anyway.
Jay. The discovery we do make is that it starts off extremely small. And there is maybe like a 50-foot clearance between when we see it clearly disenchanting something and where it could have spread to. It will be this moment that you are thinking of when the bottom of your suit starts to disenchant, that you realize you went too far earlier. And let's actually pick up in that moment. So the information about spreading through air is now old. You have moved your way. It's found a different route through the pillar to try to get to the center. When on Jay's wrist read, there is a diagnostic that your suit is disenchanting, which means it's more than likely spread to your foot already, and there's no stopping it, unless you cut your foot off. What does that moment look like between the three of you?
Someone else get the readout?
No, just you.
She's not going to say anything at first, but is going to stop walking. And look down to see, like, is there a visible...
Only on the bottom of your foot. You'd like stepping in something. You'd have to trek underneath to see it. But otherwise, right now, it's not.
Okay. And do we yet know what happens once you've been touched?
I don't think the two of you would, but Ven would. I think it's been reported that it's like very bad. And that there's like, if that happens, kind of quarantine, like limit your contact with other people. But I don't think you know specifically what happens.
Okay. I will say to them, I think it makes more sense for me to bring up the rear, leave a bit of a gap.
Why?
It's what I'm good at anyway, just in terms of letting out things not sneak up on us. And I'm kind of worried about, maybe I shouldn't say worried. I think it makes sense to stay within eyesight, but not in close quarters.
I want to roll an Intuit check so bad.
I mean, I'm happy to scout ahead. That's what I've generally been my role in previous missions, so that's fine by me.
Be careful, this thing can travel through the suits very rapidly. Some of the first symptoms, there's cognitive symptoms. Pretty, I don't know if quickly is the right word, but sooner than you'd like. Once you've started disenchanting. I glance over at Jay. No, there's been at least one other artificial soul who also was disenchanted. I'm not sure how that worked, but it happened in the middle of the game. Not in the middle of the game, in the middle of with the first mission with Urias's team.
Okay. Can I shoot off my leg? Can I like
Yeah. Yeah,
I
absolutely. Roll luck check.
I there's a part that's like, I don't think I can
Just imagining Ven mentioning this and then your leg
Yeah.
falling off.
I'm like, I don't know if I can jettison my own leg like a lizard with its tail. And if not, I'm gonna use my gun to perforate.
Mhm.
2, 3, 6. Rolled a lot of sixes.
2, 5.
What's my luck? What
2,
do I start?
5, 5 mixed luck.
Okay.
Wonderful. What do I want from you right now? I mean, well, you're shooting off your leg, so I think that's answer enough. It's bad. It hurts. It's disorienting. It's maybe disturbing to the other two. Who Ven immediately knows what's going on. And actually, Grix. So actually, sorry, before that, Jay, how quickly is the action of like, I realize what I have to do, I move to do it?
Pretty much after Ven finishes her sentence, like process, maybe about a second. Process, okay, unholster, go for it. I don't think she apologizes or anything. Like, okay.
Great.
Jay, what the fuck?
We're gonna move back
That's
to Kajeno.
mm.
The first time you saw, or not the first time, but in this mission, the violence that the Eugenerators had done to civilians. Seeing someone like partially dismembered and on the ground, not handling it as well as Jay did in arming themselves. How did Grix? So you see, like, you know, someone who is maybe in their 40s, not someone who can like comfortably bounce back from losing a limb. What was Grix's response in seeing this?
And would Kajeno have been like the first combat sort of mission that we, because they don't live very long, I think.
That's
so I wouldn't have
an
kind of
interesting question. Let me double check the thing. I'm early in the document. That's good for me. Bavari. Yeah, about 80 years. So, yeah, up to you. If you think if your character feels like he's about mid 40s, then could have been your first. Yeah.
So there'd be probably a moment of shock where he doesn't really know what to do. And I don't imagine he's like medically trained or anything like that either. So he just tries to come back into that moment, and I'm thinking maybe that reaction that he had earlier isn't necessarily the first time that he's, you know, had some anxious problems, and eventually does manage to fight through that, goes to like try to stabilize this person anyway while just like screaming for a medic to come. But yeah, just that initial shock until he eventually realizes, like, okay, does his emergency protocol on himself. He's a well-trained agent, and, you know, comes back into the moment and knows what he has to do.
The emergency response program, relying on your allies, your network, problem solving. We will again, move around. And shortly I'll reveal to you what I'm doing, and I'll give you all the context. Can I get one more luck check from Ven and Grix?
Because I've been so good at these this week, Jesse.
You got good luck the last roll.
Okay.
2, 3, 6 for me.
655.
655 236. It is wise to have someone, because there's more than just the three of you, have someone cast a spell or do something to allow everyone to fly through this area. It's no longer just safe to walk on the ground. At a certain point, you just have to accept that you have to get further in, and further in is completely fucked, except for the air.
Mm-hmm.
The structure, at a certain point where there were like solid stone walls, itself begins to unravel and spread and creates this slow moving, like almost system of traps and tunnels. Not like complete tunnels, but like almost like a flying course in a video game where it's like there's a hole that I can travel through. That everywhere around it is bad. We are close to the center in this moment. Ven is holding this device. You are floating through carefully. Grix and Jay at this point are still around, as well as a couple of other people, but there are some agents at this point who have like been compromised in some kind of way and are like waiting off, somewhere away, for the sake of safety. There shouldn't be much farther to go. But part of the wrist reads location system is like requires external magical reference, like a GPS, which in here there is not access to. Comms are not working very well, if at all.
Communication dead zone.
Yeah. As you move through the air, slowly, with a almost neutral force, the stretched and warped obsession of the pillar, with long twisting arms, a head that is coming apart, but the form collectively is still held together as an entity. Its arm, as you come around a corner, just reaches out and clips the device in one layer, jettisons. It doesn't go like straight through, but then just clips through you in your chest. You keep moving, but just see this thing like almost, not even like violent. But now you are just compromised. It is technically in the way. It like passes between Ven and then Grix and Jay.
Can I shoot it? Like, does that is that something we could do in the moment?
You can, but you also would know that shooting, you would have been informed that like nothing you do
It doesn't
interacts
do
with these
anything.
things.
Oh, that's fine. I'm not necessarily expecting an effect. I'm letting you know I would like to shoot it.
Make a luck check.
Oh. 665.
Cool. Bad luck. You shoot. Ooh. I want to do double juicy here. in the moment, are you like clear enough of mind to not hit Ven? Or is it kind of like, I see it's between me and Ven, I shoot?
My intention was to shoot it away from Ben, not just because there was
Okay.
something attacking.
Yeah.
Um, I am fine with another outcome, but I'll say for
Yeah.
regards to Ben,
Intention
yeah,
matters.
yeah.
You watch the magical bolts hit and like immediately almost disperse into this little pattern. And then it just this slowly casual, emotionless, like no face to even communicate feeling, but just like swipes by you and will like clip your hands as you like pull back.
How much time do we have once we're infected?
Like 30 minutes, depending on where it touches you, maybe less, maybe more.
And we have no idea how long we have until delivering this thing.
You should be close. You should be really close.
Hmm.
Okay.
Like
I'm
two,
gonna
3 minutes.
focus. Yeah. Okay, then I'm gonna focus more on delivery of the payload before suiciding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think in Ven's mind is the in Actios the agents created a black protocol because at a certain point it was better for an agent to die and get sent back to the ship
The
than
red
it was
protocol.
to the red protocol to die and get sent back to the ship versus die and be destroyed. Um, and that occurs to Ven, but also I think she feels it go through her chest and just she feels death made a mistake in Actios. And now something worse is here. And I do think she kind of just looks at the entity and it's a very quiet why before she kind of looks down at the thing, at the payload, and takes a deep breath and we gotta, I, we gotta go quick. We get, and she kind of almost starts to push forward very quickly. She's still trying to avoid getting hit by anything because she doesn't want to speed things along, but she knows she's even more on a time crunch now if we're close.
Uh, Grix, is there any reaction that you have in this moment?
And was I able to see it touch?
Yeah, you
Okay.
like were you and Jay had view, just saw this thing pass through Ven. You saw a layer jettison, and then Jay got pulled back
Yeah.
and fired in the air, and then it just like swiped and like clipped Jay's hands and gun, and then you're just like right behind.
My eyes are just wide. Uh, are you are you yourself? Are you still you?
Right now, we need to get me there while I still have. Uh, I'm still an engineer.
Right.
If I am ending here, we're making it worth it. Let's go.
As if it's the next moment. Three of you, maybe many more, have your eyes upon an entity. It's like a series of ribbons tied together at a point. It moves slowly almost peacefully, in a pattern, in a circle, non-malevolently, but all around it, this effect of everything being unraveled. You can see its gravity. As Ven with the payload gets close, it begins to enter into its proximity. Time begins to slow down, and moments begin to repeat. The second
Ven's
layer
experienced this before.
jettisons and jettisons and jettisons and jettisons and jettisons. And then you are, as you're holding the payload here, next you are holding the payload on the Gallant Entropy, then you are holding your children, then you are holding Pumpkin, you are walking towards the ship, you are then in Kageno, then you are in Actios, then you are back in the present. What moment's the present? Where are you? Everything is being reordered and repeated and repeated and repeated. From this moment, now with the feelings of everything that came prior, I want you, the three of you, to describe the conversation that happened detached from the moment, and then the current feelings of your experience. As you first touch down on the Pillar of Order, you see the Gallant Entropy hanging in the sky, this symbol of Misathian power, stepping off of the dropship and seeing hundreds and hundreds of these massive skyscraper-like pillars, and then this one that is this problem, knowing both in the conversation not what is happening, but then that secondary effect of re-experiencing it and having this like eternal tortured repetition, but starting in that conversation. This is the second time Ven has been here, and the first time Grix and Jay have been here, and you were looking as you were standing on a platform in the middle of this pillar, looking up at the upper half of it. What did that conversation look like?
Some of the advice from the logs that I think is important to remember is watch the corners. This thing doesn't make any noise, so if you want to be sure every corner is clear before you turn it. It don't let it touch you. It can pass through you. I've seen it. Do not try to cast any kind of mental magic on it. That is how I am, the way I am right now. I kind of look over at Jay. My memories and my life are out of order. And all at once. With time, it's fixable, but we need to be sure we have time.
Nice, well given and well received.
If you are touched or infected, you need to try to let someone know immediately. It looks like maybe cutting off the infected part might help or slow it down, but we don't have any guarantees that it's a fix. If you are infected, you will be left. And we will try to fix it once this is solved. Is this understood?
Looking like a true leader.
Don't call me that. You don't want me as your leader.
That's okay. You're better than anything else we've got. We've got your back.
Quite beautiful when you look at it from the outside.
What do you say to your kids if they were here?
Enjoy the moment.
You have kids?
I do.
How many?
3.
I want, I have um twins. I have twins.
No matter where you are in time in your head, they're real out there.
No matter where you are in time, the little bit of irony, as all separately, I'll also say, in your individual experience of this conversation, repeat it a second, third, a fourth, a fifth, repeating, repeating, repeating. It's that moment sticks out. That little twist, the little foreshadowing of what's to come. How does that moment make all of you feel on repetition?
It's a flux between frustration and hope, I think. Because I could see Ven responding to it either way, so I feel like each repetition, it's almost a slightly, it fluctuates between the two. Especially if she starts to be aware she's in a loop and that it's a repetition. And it's almost like mentally, if you've ever seen The Martian, it's like flying past something and trying to grab a lifeline while going way too fast in the middle of space and just missing it, and then looping back around and just missing it, and then looping back around and just missing it. Because I do think there's still this has to work in Ben's mind. There's something that's still driving her to make this work to get there.
I think if doing one of the common sensations in derealization is like that you're watching yourself inside your own head. Um, and I think the nature of like, because of how recursive this is, it's like you're watching yourself, watch, and none of them are allowed to talk to each other, but they're all kind of, and I think specifically for Jay, who is never like, you know how we all have like a little voice in your head. It's either the doubtful voice or like that kind of thing. That's, but she's never quite sure which of those little voices are her own or how much might have been like a program or anything like that. So it's very difficult to parse who might be telling her what inside her head and how much is herself to actually say what is real right now.
For Grix, when Jay asked, or sorry, when Ven asked about, oh sorry, when Jay first asked about sitting there with his kids, um, his mind went to that, and like he's almost just pictured himself standing there, maybe hand in hand, his 3 children, and then maybe Ven with her 2 twins, had that in his mind, but then each time, it's a very nice memory, but then each time you replay it, that same thought comes, and it's just like a little needle that just stabs and stabs and stabs, and it just kind of continually going through that feedback, like just more pain stacks up as you kind of realize maybe there's no escape from this, and this is just where we are, and that I think would be the prevailing thought in his mind.
from that moment, then skips to Jay blowing their leg off, and Grix's reaction, and then Kageno, and for Ven it was probably going back to Actios. And again, playing through the same broken tape. For Jay, who has much less life to pull from, you made a comment about your mother. Does Jay actually have a mother or like a creator, or how did Jay come into being?
I can't remember making that comment, but Jay would have sprung relatively fully formed. I think the earliest memories are not real. They're almost like was born with some memories. But the memories of therapeutic training, of practice sessions, of clients that made an impact, things like that, but not a family. So the first person that is a living memory is the person who programmed that. Whoever would have been the programmer.
5 years is not a long time to relive. And I think that almost makes it worse, because it's less disorienting. There's less remembering something. The events of your life are fairly straightforward, as opposed to Ven's 100, 200 years, or even Grix's 40-some. It feels like every time you restart the cycle, you move a millimeter. And for Ven, the desperation that every time you're just moving your hands to activate this device. Because the Ven was 160, 170?
Yeah, she's about 160.
The 160 years are unbearable to relive so often. The tragedy, the death, Actios spread out across your whole life. There's no escaping it. There's the constant terror and trauma.
There's the loss of her mother tied into that all over again.
Go ahead if you want to say something.
Just thinking, because Ven's life has always had some kind of loss in it. She's always had people scared to let her go into the MEF in it. And she's always had the fear of repeating her mother's mistakes. Isn't fair, but it's the best word for it. And she's in the middle of that.
If this fails, if this does not work as we hope it does, Ven repeats the cycle, and her kids grow up without a mother, or finish growing up without a mother. And I think that clarity becomes the dominant dread at a certain point of reliving your life. Time, the perspective of time blurs, it becomes less meaningful, and there's just this infinite feeling but the smallest amount of hope. The jettison of the second layer, and the jettison of the second layer, and the jettison of the second layer, and the jettison of the second layer. And there's finally a moment experienced infinitely between the second and the last layer. Is the largest crest of hope. Before, in your eternal experiences of reliving your life, the first layer, or the last layer, however you define it, breaks, and the device, barren underneath your hand, reaching toward it every 160 years, just another millimeter. There is a pain every time you come back to this moment. You're moving your arms so fast. Just before Ven, after an experience of time longer than anyone has ever experienced, activates the device. What is she feeling?
I think it's sorrow and fear, but also just a determination. It's impossible to not keep staring at the things in her life that she's had plenty of joy, but her sorrows have been so huge. And she wants to have the chance to put it behind her. She's young for her kind. She's like maybe early 30s, probably closer to late 20s for an elf, like young. And she wants, if death did make a mistake, then might as well not, she doesn't want to throw it away. And she doesn't, and if she does, she wants to get to a Godlands. She doesn't want to just float in the pillars or stop existing somewhere out here. And so it's that sorrow for everything she's experienced, the fear of failing again. Because all of those losses, she views Actios as a failure. And the determination to get back and push this button or whatever it is and prove that she's worth whatever Rue saw in her, whatever so many people saw in her, and get this done. And I do think if it's possible for her to be crying right now, she is, just after all of that experience.
Ven feels like she is, but you're so detached from the current experience of your body, you don't know if that's you right now or the secondary you behind the body. Grix and Jay also watching this slowly unfold, having to. It's like waiting for the end of a series but every second having to rewatch the entire series to get 1 second further. It's unbearable. For Grix, I think, I mean, for everyone, I think.
Could I add one thing
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Ben's
yeah,
thing?
yeah.
Maybe just she mentioned Rue, and maybe in those memories, she probably hears something which was a sentiment he would often say, which is just Ventus, you are capable and you are strong. Something along those lines. But yeah.
John, I'm already crying. You don't need to keep going.
Come on, you gotta twist the knife a little bit.
Ugh.
But yes, for Grix, sorry, Jesse.
After this much experience, you are desperate and hollow at the same time, like you are a lost traveler through your memories. It almost feels, it might as well feel like you are on a blackened stage and just the memory is lit up. You're so distant but also so present. How old is your child, Grix? Or your eldest, I'll say.
Yeah, I think I believe it would be like pretty close after getting home from Kageno and just having that break. So like call it 9, maybe somewhere along that. I named them in a document here. What was it? Cyranath.
Cyrana's 5th birthday. Friends and family around. The first time that Cyrana had friends from school, meeting the other parents. There's the moment where you realize that this person was taking form and this thing was reaching beyond you. And I imagine that experience it's like that little grounding point, the little moment that when you re-experience it, you try to cherish it. Because it also gives you this little vision outside of yourself and into the future. The last moment that Grix experiences that before Ven finally makes contact. What do you think Grix, and you can describe more of the scene if you want, but what do you think Grix is feeling after these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of experiences of this moment?
Well, there's part of being a parent is enjoying those moments because you don't get to revisit them. You don't get to see them again. So you want to be present and just take it in. So it would be this cruel juxtaposition between enjoying this beautiful moment that you get to hundreds, thousands, however many times, and then coming back to this cruel present and just this in between, and it would just be emotionally draining, I feel like, to continually do that. So there would just be a tiredness, I think, that just continues to stack up. Yeah, exactly. So I think hollow, yeah, that would be a good way to leave it.
Then I think in your head you've done the math. You've done the math 1,000,000 times of how many experiences left before you activate the device. Your twins' 5th birthday as well. A similar experience, seeing their lives take shape, the beginnings of their friendships, the beginnings of them separating as a Halith. Well, actually, technically, both would be Elven.
They're
but
still aging at the same. Yeah.
the Halith would just have divine belonging. That's different. So I guess, yeah, it's still mostly the same, but beginning to develop like more distinct personalities. Revisiting that moment in what should be at least the last time before things start to change. What do you think Ven's experience of that moment is?
I think she wants to hold them closer and hold them tighter, but obviously that doesn't change. It never changes. And I think there's almost some relief of like, this is the last time. And this is also one of the like really joyful moments in her life. Because when Ven went to Actio, she had given up on the hope of ever getting to be a mother. And that changed. And so I think she's always just in awe of their existence. And so I think it's it's already kind of burned into her mind. And I think she almost takes that moment just as a breath. There's so few times when that weight of everything she has been through is not on her chest. And so she just takes that as kind of a pit stop for strength until she sprints again. And she's going to sprint hard.
There's a hope for Ven and Grix to see their children's 10th and 15th, 20th and 25th. You've had time to imagine what that looks like, and for Jay, you hope to experience your 10th and 15th and 20th and 25th. Also, can you hear my roommate's clarinet? Okay, good. It might be being picked up on this stream, but at least it's not on Zoom. Unhinged time to play. I need to clear my thoughts around the clarinet. 20th, 25th.
Did Ven play the clarinet? Maybe work it in the memory.
No one on stream has complained about a clarinet yet.
Good. Hoping to see those futures. It's an unbearably long wait. Contacting the button again and again and again and again. And then there is the second torture of waiting for it to take effect. This device is an answer to a question that has a presumption in the solution, which is that this entity is of this cosmos and can be handled and interacted with by things of this cosmos. As your eyes begin to move, to look at it, the horror that exists beyond the imagination of anyone who had thought. In the accounting of the MEF, in the accounting of the cosmos and the gods and all of their near infinite powers. The realization will set in. That your mission here, for all the hope that you have experienced, was unfounded. And here, all of you come apart, experiencing the reordering of yourselves and eventual fade. What feeling defines the slow decay as the memories collapse and disappear and the repetitions begin to end? And so goes the clarity. What feelings carry that out?
For a while, it's desperation. It's trying to use sheer force of will to just hold herself together. Because for a while, I think she's aware of every memory that's getting sheared off.
There's more blank spaces. Things make less sense.
She starts to try to curl around and make the happier ones her core. Because eventually, I think the desperation starts to give way to almost a relief. Because I think eventually, with the lack of memories there, it also starts to just take away certain pain. In a way that part of her, for a while, is horrified by until that part's gone too. I think part of her just the last things to go are memories of Petrico and Yale and Rue and John Anderson and the people she's worked with, followed by her father's, followed by her mother, followed by her spouses, and finally her children. And then finally herself just kind of starts to dissolve away. There's not enough left to really worry or be scared. I think there's still some sorrow there at this wasn't. I think that might be one of her last thoughts is that this wasn't. And I don't know how long it takes her to just be gone. I think if she was aware enough, she would hate how quiet it was. 'Cause, 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 'cause,
same question to Grix and Jay.
There's an indignation that he feels like this was supposed to be an easy mission. I chose not to go to Actios because it was too dangerous. I had, you know, just started my family, and this was supposed to be simple. And that layer probably peels back. And I'm just trying to imagine what it would be like to feel everything from your life all at once because you're just getting reordered in that way. I don't even know how to describe it, but like that's what feels like would be happening as you're getting reordered like this. So it would just be every possible emotion that you could feel happening in order, in chaos, and just continually in that cycle until it comes back to that hollowness, I guess, that we referenced before. Yeah.
I didn't describe this, but I physically, before this moment, Jay was already melting a little bit, just in terms of image, which I think goes hand in hand with kind of the sensation. 5 years is not a lot of time to experience any particular tragedies, but it is also isn't any time to experience anything good. So I think the only thing that is happening really is a recurring feeling of panic and pain with no real. I think the most real things are probably anything that's happened last day or even in the last hour. And so what happens instead are, I think just these threads of pain and panic that get scattered across time and the universe.
At a certain point of decay for Ven and Grix, there is the dissociation with yourself. And suddenly you're trying to piece together this person's life. These scattered ups and downs. And the little bits of context when you clue in, and suddenly there are wants of like wanting these people to make different choices in certain times, to say the thing or not say the thing. But I think there's something almost bittersweet about that experience. Because every joy is lived eternally before it fades. No matter how distant you get, there's just that like confusing bit of hope that I don't think Jay feels. It's just frustration, panic. Like you made a mistake way too early. And you should have had more. It's dissatisfying. There's nothing you experienced that made this worth it. There's nothing you experienced that made this worth it. As our camera and our mind's eye sees this entity, this unraveling in its slow, drawn out circle. The pillar of order coming apart, and the device being unmade just beyond Ven being unmade, and Jay being unmade, and Grix being unmade, and however many other of the 100 MEF agents who made it this far. With only a small amount of hope still existing on the Gallant Entropy to stop this. It does not spread through air and through cosmos. There is a calculation that Ven makes, that Ven has to make. There's a log. You heard the first log on the ship, made by the first person who made contact with this entity. There is something wrong with the planar drive on the Gallant Entropy, a mistake they made in fixing it. And if that mistake can be exploited, this pillar and this ship can be jettisoned into nowhere. And hopefully this problem can die on its own. But whether or not that happens, we will have to see next session with Arlo and whoever so may join him.